kind of book. Welcome to another episode of the Supper Club. The Supper Club brought to you by Kuna Food Service, a family-owned tradition since 1918. The Pasta House Company Restaurants. Lorta's Diamonds, your family jeweler for life. Oliva on the Hill. Ackerman Toyota, St. Louis's #1 Toyota dealer in volume sales. Fenton Bar and Grill, home of the trashed wing. And Fresta Limoncello. Keep sipping, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Supper Club. I'm Joe Fresta, your host, brought to you by Kuna Food Service. Today we have some restaurant royalty here. We have Suzanne Gitto and Anthony Gitto, her brother, the grandfather, or the grandchildren of Charlie Gitto Sr., who was famous for Charlie Gitto's Downtown, the big sports crowd destination, big with the baseball players and all that. Mm-hmm. And then also the son and daughter of Charlie Gitto Jr., who started Charlie Gitto's on the Hill in 1980. So talk about that lineage a little bit with your father's side of the family.
So if I may jump in.
Absolutely.
It was actually 81.
Was it 81?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 80.
Not to shave off a year
Maybe he
from.
bought it. It was formerly Angelo's.
Correct.
And he bought. Maybe he purchased it in 1980.
Probably,
but didn't open it until 81.
Okay. March of 81 is
Very
when
good.
it officially opened.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, there's been. It's been a wild ride, I'm sure, and obviously we weren't there in '81, to go through all the trials and tribulations, but we understand and know that we have a fairly well-known name in this town, and we want to, continue the legacy as, third-generation restaurateur.
Yeah, your grandmother Annie Gitto was a big part of that restaurant as well. Yeah. I think she had some recipes in there, didn't she?
She did.
Didn't she have a meatloaf recipe? I believe.
Yep, and
really
then her
good,
casata cake is actually one that
cake.
we serve for people who are celebrating something special. That it's on the house, and we. As a homage to her, we give a piece of casata cake out, and it's nice to remember. And there's still to this day, I would say about a month ago, a customer came in from out of town, and they had a gift card, a handwritten gift card that had Grandma's name on it, Annie Gitto.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was planning on using it, but he was, But it was a very nice little
nostalgia for you.
Yes, absolutely. It was nice because then you start
cool.
thinking about her and all the things that she taught us too.
Right. Suzanne, do you remember as a youngster maybe going to the restaurant, as a kid?
Yes.
Anthony, you too, maybe just hanging out with Grandpa or even your dad.
Yeah.
Because I have memories of that when my dad opened up Baldwin. His first location in Baldwin, just kind of going with him in the morning and walking through the restaurant and all that kind of thing. You guys remember any of that?
Mm-hmm. Silverware, I would do like the setup room. I would polish the silverware, and then I learned how to do some salads and desserts. And
how old were you?
Oh man, I know my mom would drop me off, so I was probably like 12.
Wow. Yeah, they started. You got it. They put you to work right away. Yeah, I mean, I started working for my dad a little bit when I was in 7th grade. Yeah. So, just working in the commissary and on the truck, not in the restaurants. But what are your memories, Anthony?
And I think of kind of same to what Suzanne is talking about is, very early memories of just running around, wanting to feel like you want to help. Yeah. And, be a part of it. And I'm sure I was probably in the way. We were probably in the way a lot of times. But, as any restaurateur could probably relate to when you have kids, when they're out of school, you kind of have nowhere else to go with them, and so you bring them to work.
Yeah. Do you bring? You have 4 children of your own.
I do. Yeah.
Do you bring them to work?
I
Sometimes?
have a couple times. I brought them into dinner, and I think after that last dinner that we had, I think we're going to take a break from coming in.
Got a few more years to go by.
But they want so badly to, eat there and, be a part of it. And
Absolutely.
they're like, can we go to Grandpa Gitto's? And so it's really fun to, kind of see it full circle of how it was when I was, when we were growing up in it. And so it's very special, and you get a lot of customers that come in, hey, I used to come here when it was Angelo's, or I remember I came, like a customer just last week. They said, we're celebrating our 65th wedding anniversary, and we were here when it first opened, and my Uncle George was their server.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so they were, discussing on, how the place looked and, all the different staff that was there.
Sure.
And, again, we weren't there when it opened, but, it's always nice to kind of hear these, stories from all the customers that come in through time.
Yeah. Now, your mother, Paula Gitto, formerly Paula Augustine, her family was in the restaurant business too in Belleville. They had a very prominent restaurant called Augustine's, correct?
Yep.
And what are your memories of that? Did you guys ever go over there and go across the river and hang out a little bit, or any experience there? Suzanne?
I think Suzanne, I mean, she's obviously the older sister.
Older.
So
right.
I think she may have some.
Well, she's told me a lot of stories. I
stories.
mean, we have memorabilia from there. We have matches and T-shirts and what else do we
any
have?
Ashtrays or anything?
I'm sure she
I
does.
think she does. Yeah.
Matchbooks. And
So,
stuff.
and there was Augustine's, and then there was a place, a club called Mr. A's, from what we understand.
Oh, really?
And I think there was one very, small memory. I think we were there when it was closed, but they walked us inside and kind of looked around it, and the building in which Augustine's is still there.
Right.
I think it's a catering company or something.
Okay.
Now, but it's really crazy to think that we are definitely got the restaurant blood and
it's
on
just,
both sides.
Yeah, I mean, it's really in your blood. I mean, you grew up, since you were babies, you guys grew up around this whole thing, going back with your grandfather, your grandmothers.
Right.
Both grandfathers probably.
I mean, just going down to, going to see our grandpa before a Cardinal game.
For a ball game,
those
sure.
are really, cherished memories that that we both have, and he would have his spot at the bar where everybody would go congregate to him and say hi, and
the chair, right?
The chair.
Remember the chair?
Yeah, the chair still lives too.
Still lives on.
Still
That's
lives
right.
on.
I know where it is.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. But I mean, your mother's family, her mom and dad's restaurant was very prominent restaurant too. Nice, fine dining over on the other side of the river. I had never been there personally, but had always heard good things about it. So again, it's just this whole culinary restaurant thing in your guys' blood, and you talk about your experiences going down to your grandfather's Charlie Gitto Sr. Did you see any of the ballpark guys, Tommy Lasorda, people like that?
Oh yeah, there was a time where Tommy Lasorda actually came to our house for Christmas. There's a picture that we have actually of all of us, my dad, my mom, Tommy Lasorda, and Suzanne and I, in front of the tree.
Really?
And it was really cool. I mean, I still have a baseball glove that he sent in the mail. Yeah, Dodger blue.
Really?
A handwritten note of, "Hey, you're always a Dodger,"
Was it a game worn glove?
No,
or
it's like a kid's.
Was a promotional Dodgers?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Cool.
So
Dodger blue.
Yeah, when I'm not rooting for the Cardinals, there's a little bit of me that roots for the Dodgers just
Sure.
for Tommy Lasorda.
You guys have a room named after him at the restaurant on the hill, correct?
We do. Yeah. Yep. We got the Lasorda room, dedicated to him because he was the one that gave us a lot of accolades on TV, live TV.
Oh, absolutely.
Would definitely be a big promoter for us, and on the hill and downtown.
Probably got a lot of people that would come in town from L.A. Just because of him. He probably talked about it on local TV or whatever in L.A.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of celebrities like that come in. And he was kind of like the first influencer, right? Before social media and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going way back.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Talk about an influencer.
Yes.
I mean, he was a great mouthpiece
Huge
for you guys.
influencer for
Absolutely.
us. Absolutely.
So, Suzanne, tell me a little bit about what your role is now with the company, and what is a day in the life of Suzanne Gitto like?
Okay, so catering.
Right.
Yeah. Trying to expand and grow it with Anthony here and making sure that we're doing a top-notch job. And I love to manage on the floor too. Talking to the people is fun for me.
That's the fun part.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And the staff, and just being involved, being there.
Catering is such a big part of your operation now in any restaurant. I mean, the catering piece, especially since COVID, right? Because people just want to kind of take the food home, eat it at home,
Right.
Not really still not cool with going, or they just got used to eating at home. They don't want to go out to eat dinner anymore. They would rather just stay home, or then there's the private parties and
the events
and all that kind of thing. So
I want to toot her horn a little bit too, because I mean she has done such a great job of taking the bull by the horns with the catering. I mean, she just did the Toronto Blue Jays. We do the Avalanche. I mean,
do you guys do that? You have the contract for the visitors' locker room?
I don't know if we have the contract, but they definitely have our number on speed dial.
Okay, Rip Rowan.
Yeah.
Rip Rowan runs the visitors' clubhouse
Shout out
Busch
to
Stadium.
Rip.
Yeah, great guy. I met him years ago when Dad owned Shannon's.
Yeah.
And he was an equipment manager for the Cardinals back then. Great guy.
Yeah.
Just a great guy. And then used to hang out down in the locker room and whatnot. And until Tony La Russa became manager, then I got a tap on the shoulder and said, "Hey, you what's the matter? You got to get out of here." So
oh my God,
that was it. But that's great. Another great. That's a good feather in your cap.
Hockey's been huge for us.
Oh,
as
really?
well.
Hockey too.
Oh yeah.
Visitors or the Blues?
The visitors.
Visitors locker room. Yep, because they bring food in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these professional these athletes, they eat like kings, man.
And
all day long. They got a spread at the hotel. They got a spread in the locker room.
There's no shortage of pasta when they're coming in to eat.
Absolutely not. They got to carb up.
That's right.
For the big game.
Yeah.
You know what it's like? You still skate. You gotta eat all you can to
you need that energy. You need that stored energy.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's and I've seen you around the restaurant. You come down. You dabble in the front of the house and touch tables and talk to people.
My dad likes to call me the troubleshooter.
Right.
I can step in if needed.
Yeah.
or whatever.
She absolutely can.
I've seen you come up to the hostess stand and kind of mission control there and get things. There might be a little bit of a log jam at the door, which is easy to do there, right? And then you do a great job too. I mean, you're all over the place.
Well, we're definitely a good team.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And then we're always staying in communication with one another about what's going on, what's the need.
Right.
Things that are going great. Maybe some things that need room for improvement. So it's nice to know that, she brings a set of skills and I bring a set of skills.
Right.
And, there's things that I don't do that she does really great at and, vice versa.
Yeah.
So that's what a team is all about.
Yeah, and you guys, I'm sure you were close as kids, but it's probably brought you even closer together.
Yeah.
You're sort of this closer knit tandem, if you will. And do you guys talk? Do you just have a set time where you talk every morning, sort of get a game plan together?
I think it kind of changes sometimes.
Yeah, as needed.
Yeah. But we definitely try to remember that we've got a personal relationship that we want to continue, and then it's business after that.
Right.
Yeah. Anthony, what is a day like in your life? Just one day in the Charlie Gitto world. You get up and now I know you have children.
Yeah. Well, when the kids start knocking at the door at 6 o'clock,
right.
That's my alarm clock these days.
Yeah.
Checking emails, checking in with Suzanne, getting phone calls from the big guys, seeing what's going on, what happened,
who was in,
things like that, and then what's going on with the office, and then we'll set up for the night.
Yeah.
Make sure we got all the players, checking reservations, see who's coming in, if we got any VIPs.
Yeah.
We got Mr. Fressa coming in. We got to make sure we're stocked with Fressa limoncello.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You guys serve a lot of Fressa
We do.
limoncello.
Yes, of course. And that's actually one of the things I like to, if I know somebody who's coming in, I'll bring them here's a little glass of limoncello on us as a celebratory.
I think you guys by far are our number one restaurant account.
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt, because I know you go through a lot of it. Your customers they want to be part of that whole Italian experience, right?
Absolutely.
So part of that is the limoncello after dinner, right?
Yep.
As an aperitif.
Digestive.
Yeah. So you and your wife Kate have 4 kids.
Yes, we have 4 kids.
You're
6,
now
5, 4,
playing zone defense.
Yes, we are 100% outnumbered.
Yeah.
And she's also a full-time employee for her father's business. She's a civil engineer.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's kind of where we really hit it off, was that, hey, we both work for Dad.
Yeah.
You know, what have you encountered? What, you know, and so that was kind of, it was really neat to.
You could kind of share war stories a little bit.
Yeah,
experiences,
exactly.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, and her parents, great people. The Stocks, just great.
Very blessed.
Yeah, met them many times.
Yeah.
Very nice.
They're great people.
Yeah, you're fortunate.
Yes.
Yeah. Good folks.
Yes.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about. I know your father had some celebrities come in there. Merv Griffin, Howard Cosell.
Yep.
Who else? There was
Tommy
we talked about
Lasorda, Mark McGuire. You know, especially during that home run, you know, era that he was going through. Like that was, you know, he tells a story about when he came in, and you know, he had him come through the back door and sit at the Lasorda. And he had a couple bats and balls waiting for him after after dinner to sign. So I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that.
Did he sign him?
Yeah, he did.
Because he was kind of funny about that.
Oh yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I think he's famously known for, you know, not wanting to do that kind of stuff.
Well, that whole thing with he and Sammy Sosa, I mean, it was just such a juggernaut of an event the whole season long. Mm-hmm. You know, he would just, anytime he stepped outside in public, he would just get mobbed by people.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he was chasing after Roger Maris at the time, I believe. And, you know, we were just little kids during that stretch. But, you know, I think it just really captivated the city of St. Louis, you know, during that time. I'm sure my grandpa saw an uptick of, you know, people going into the restaurant during that time. All the flashing lights every time he'd take a swing. I mean, you don't see the flashing lights like you used to anymore. Everybody has the smartphone.
Yeah, now it's the cameras. Everybody's got a camera. I don't think, you know, that many people had smartphones back then. I don't think. But there's still a lot of press.
Yes.
A lot of press following those two around. Yeah. But I was sitting at the bar one night with a buddy of mine, and he was chatting up this guy, and he was real excited about meeting him and everything else. I'm like, what are these guys doing? And then the gentleman, he looks over at me and he goes, "You look really familiar." And I said, "Well, I don't know. You know, maybe you've seen me on social media or whatnot with the fresco, with my limoncello." But my buddy said, "You don't know who this is?" I said, "Well, yeah. Who are you?" He says, "I'm Javier Mendoza."
Yes.
And apparently, he's a famous guitarist, musician, entertainer.
Yeah, good regular comes in.
Yeah, and he apparently he married a St. Louis girl, and comes into St. Louis quite a bit and frequents your place pretty much every time he comes into town.
Right.
So you never know who you're going to meet.
You never know, and I know my dad. He's got many more stories than we can even you know, rattle off. That, you know, people coming through the back door, the Lasorda room, you know, the whole nine. So.
Well, as you guys get, you know, you start to get some history behind you, you'll have those same stories.
Oh yeah.
The one thing I want to talk about is your appearances. Your dad was on like the Food Network, the Travel Channel, the Today Show, things of that nature. You know. I can tell people that when I'll come in maybe on a Sunday night or a Monday night, sit at the bar, just grab something to eat. The amount of people who come in with carry-on luggages, right?
Yeah.
And they just, you know, they're coming straight from the airport. They're coming in town on business.
Right.
But I think it has a lot to do with those appearances on the Food Network.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Travel Channel.
Yes.
Today's Show. People see that, and they make a note that when they go to St. Louis, they're going to go to Charlie Gitto's, and they do.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people from out of town, business travelers.
Yeah, I think we're definitely thankful for the amount of you know, coverage we've had on, you know, our marketing and social medias and being on top lists, and you know, when you have the food and the service and everything combined, and then the shows. You know, it just has really definitely withstood the test of time.
Yeah, graduations. I'm sure WashU graduation's a big deal for you guys.
Yes.
Get a lot of the restaurants on the hill get a lot of that. Talk about sort of the back of the house. There's another little house behind the back of the house where you make all of your pastas, you make your breads. Mm-hmm. What else do you make back? You make your own ravioli.
Yep.
What else you got? You make your own desserts too?
Suzanne, you want to dive in on that?
Scratch kitchen, yeah.
Yeah.
Bread, desserts, cakes, pasta, toasted ravioli, all of it.
That cracked wheat bread.
Yes.
I don't know if that's a right
the
name for it.
Ancient grain.
Ancient grain.
Yes.
Fabulous.
It's really good.
I mean, you guys ought to sell that in the grocery stores. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it takes a lot of self-control to lay off of all the good stuff that's made in house.
A lot of carbs, man.
It can add up quickly.
I remember I used to live in the house across the back alley from you guys, and I would get up, leave the house at like, I don't know, 6:30 in the morning to go to the ice rink to play hockey, and I'd have to smell that bread being baked early in the morning.
Oh man,
you know?
I mean, we're cooking the meats for the toast ravioli, the cannelloni, and there's a lot of really good smells back there that are coming from that that facility. So. They're like a machine, and the ravioli, the toast ravioli, I mean, they're made by hand to this day, and it takes a crew to do it. And we're not only doing it for one location, we're doing it for two.
Sure.
And it's a lot of raviolis.
Right, it is. It is. I mean, you got to roll the dough and trowel the meat, and then put another sheet of dough over it, right? And then cut it, and
Yeah,
you've seen this process before.
Yeah, well, a little bit.
It's truly the heart of the kitchen. I mean, when you go in there, they're all close.
You're back there all the time, probably.
Yeah,
that's your home away from home. I'm sure you spend being involved with catering. A lot of the catering probably comes out of there.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about your retail. You have Charlie Gitto's pasta sauces, correct?
Right.
Anything else you guys sell in the grocery stores?
Our dressing.
Your dressing, yep.
Sweet and sour vinaigrette, Italian.
Right.
What else do we? Pomodoro, San Marzano.
Yeah, and then we also have an online store where you can buy our strip steaks. We do a steak box.
Really?
Yeah, and you can even buy loaves of bread as well. So the online store also has gift cards that you can purchase. So you can always just give us a call too. If you just ever have any questions of anything you just want to pick up. I mean, we're pretty amenable to all that.
Yeah. So you also have a second location at the Hollywood Casino out in West County, right? A little bit different animal.
Yes, I would say so.
Talk a little bit about how the restaurants are the same, but also how they might be a little different from each other.
Right. Suzanne, you want to jump in?
I would say Hollywood is a little more fast-paced. They like to get in and get out and go back and gamble, maybe hit the blackjack table.
Go lose some more money.
Right. Yeah.
I'd say we do a ton of to-go orders out there.
Really?
Yeah. We do a lot
for the hotel.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, because I know there's a hotel out there. Yeah, interesting. You get a lot. You get a lot of the Riverport or the amphitheater crowd concerts and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they do concerts in the casino too, don't they?
They'll have a concert from time to time, but
right.
The big thing is the Hollywood Amphitheater. I mean, they're in the middle of concert season right now. They just had Dave Matthews, personal favorite of mine.
Right. There you go.
They were there last night. We have the same core recipes, but the specials would be different because it's a different clientele out there.
Right.
And Suzanne's right. People want to come in, eat real quick, and then go back out to the floor to go gamble. And you will get some people that'll come out and that may not want to track to the hill, but they'll want to celebrate anniversary, birthday, graduation, anything special. The service is the same. The food is the same other than the specials. Just a different location, just a little bit different vibe.
A little different vibe, yeah. Being attached to a casino, I'm sure it's just a totally different deal.
For sure.
And there's also the Centine Center.
Yeah.
It's a 3-sheet ice rink, right?
Yeah.
Where the Blues practice.
Right.
So you probably there's a lot of hockey youth tournaments going on.
There is,
do you get a little bit of that?
We do.
Hockey teams coming in?
We'll get groups of like 20, 30 people, families with their, kids coming in for dinner. And so always got to be ready. You never know when a big group is going to walk in and, ask for a table.
Yeah.
So And it's a big space too. We got 2 separate rooms at Hollywood, and there's also a Lorta room there too.
Okay.
So
really? Okay. I'm gonna have to go out
there. Yeah.
You know, I think your dad has a big Christmas party. He invites my dad, but I got to get on that list.
Right.
Charlie, hey.
We'll figure it out.
Don't forget about me.
Right.
Chief O'Toole, everybody gets to go, and I just get to hear the stories.
Right.
But
maybe we'll get invited too.
Yeah, maybe all 3 of us.
Right.
We'll get a little table in the corner, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like the kids' table at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You know. But what do you think about chances of opening up another location? You think would you want to delve into that maybe down the line, or are there any thoughts of that?
I think that's what we want to do.
Do you?
Yeah. I think so. I think, we've got to obviously take care of the 2 locations that we have now, and everything's going really great. But, anything in the restaurant business can always change at the drop of a hat. So
that's right.
We just are, we're very thankful for the 2 locations that we have now and very blessed. I mean, there's a lot of places that can't even survive with just 1. So, and they close up within the first year. I mean, there's a very high percentage of restaurants that open and close in the first year. So, to be blessed and say that we've got 45 years under the hill, and, the Hollywood opened up in 2004. So 20 years basically at Hollywood Casino, and I think we've done a lot.
That long at Hollywood?
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember being a busboy there. When it was Harris Casino when it first opened. Obviously, we were there helping out with whatever we could. We were a little bit older at the time. Suzanne was serving tables. I think I was bussing at the time, and so it's really cool to kind of see how we. We worked our way up. My dad was always our dad. Sorry. Our dad was very. She does that too sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I do the same thing.
Yeah. But he was always very keen on earning our stripes. Yeah. Start from the back. You heard Suzanne, she was saying that she was on the pantry and did desserts, and I started in the back too, because it is truly the heart of a restaurant. Yeah. I think restaurants can get by with, not, subpar food and good service, but, I think we really try to hit a home run with food and service. So
I think that's probably a good vantage point from the very beginning, is to sort of work your way up and out from behind the kitchen. You get to see everybody,
right?
The servers, the chefs, the cooks, everybody doing what they do to make it all happen out front.
Right.
And then you start getting out front and working the front of the house, and maybe a little bit more fun.
Right.
Not always fun. But
right. Well, and I think our dad is definitely a chef first.
Yeah.
Still to this day, when he comes in, he'll call out a dish and he'll be like, "That's not made right."
Yeah. Right.
And I think knowing and understanding that what the food should look like and what it should taste like, how it was prepared.
Yeah.
All the steps leading up to it landing on the table are just so important.
One thing I know about your father, he loves to play around in the kitchen, trying new stuff all the time. I've always remembered that about him.
Yeah. He just came up with a new dish actually recently. It's called stracchetti, which means twisted rags. We just got a brand new dye for CG Pasta to make this dish. So it's a pesto pasta, homemade pesto, this noodle. And it's got a lemon whipped ricotta on top.
Right.
And then we top it with some roasted pine nuts and a little roasted tomato gremolata.
Now, is that current, or is
this is a current special?
Is it about to make its debut, or what?
So it's a special right now. Specials are always one of those like a developmental thing, just to see if it's worth putting on the menu whenever we do a change or not. So I think we're in the early stages of this.
Take people's temperature on it, see what their feedback is.
But you're right. He definitely loves to still tinker. He'll come in and if he. Something he had a dream about, or something that he saw that he wanted to put his own twist in.
Or tried at another restaurant as he traveled, right? Your mom and him would travel a lot, I'm sure. And
they like to dine out too. They like to be a customer at places. And,
research and development.
Yeah, that's exactly it. What restaurateur doesn't?
Well, anyway, speaking of pasta, We're going to be right back. We're going to go in the kitchen. You're going to whip something up for us for our audience to see. It's a pasta at the top of the pasta menu. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's fabulous.
Yes.
We'll be right back after these messages. Kuna Food Service, providing quality food to people across the Midwest, is part of our rich history at Kuna because food brings people together. We specialize in having a large variety of food products and food supplies, catering to an array of businesses that turn to us. Kuna Food Service, a family-owned tradition since 1918. Oliva on the Hill, it's Italy in the city. With exquisite old-world charm, this ideal setting is perfect for your next special event, wedding, just having lunch, or enjoying Wine Down Wednesday and the Antique Market. Check it out, olivaonthehill.com. Lorta's Diamonds, your family's jeweler for life. Family owned and operated for over 70 years, specializing in engagement rings, fashion jewelry, gemstones, and in-house jewelry repair. Relaxed, friendly atmosphere, competitive pricing, and a selection second to none. Conveniently located just west of the Galleria on Clayton Road. Lorta's Diamonds, your family's jeweler for life. LortosDiamonds.com. Joe Fresta for Fresta Limoncello. My handcrafted small batch citrus liqueur is perfect for sipping or pouring in a cocktail. All natural, gluten-free, Fresta Limoncello is sold at Schnucks, Dierberg's, Straub's, Total Wine, and local restaurants. Fresta Limoncello. Keep sipping, my friends. Welcome back to the Supper Club. We're back in the kitchen with Anthony Gitto, his sister Suzanne, and we're going to whip up a pasta from Charlie Gitto's Fiori Borghese. Anthony, let us know what you're going to do here, man.
All right, so this is one of the staple dishes at Charlie Gitto's on the Hill and our Hollywood location as well. And we're just going to get right into it. Extra virgin olive oil, we're going to go in. Going to turn this on a little hotter. Then we're going to go with some prosciutto. Already sizzling hot pan. We're going to go with a little diced yellow onion.
Boy, it looks great already.
Chopped parsley, pepper, and just a little bit of salt. Just because the prosciutto already is naturally salty. So, and then we're just going to let this render off, get some flame. That's always fun.
Anything pork just puts put enough sodium in there anyway. You really don't need it.
Yeah.
You don't need a salt shaker, that's for sure.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Suzanne, what does the Fiori Borghese mean to you? Because I know you and I both, we've grown up with this dish, and it's, it just brings us back to when we were little kids.
Yeah.
Would you say?
I just think, all the parties that we've had, it's a go-to suggestion and recommendation to families. It's a real crowd pleaser. People really love it.
Absolutely.
It's something different because I had never tried it before. It's at the top of the pasta list.
Yes, it is.
And I said, I'm going to try this, you know, and I absolutely loved it. And it's different. It's just a little something different. You know, takes you in a different direction,
right?
Taste-wise.
Not only that, but that we have our house-made noodle here, Fiori noodle. We make a lot of our pastas, bread, desserts. The toast ravioli is made in-house. So we're a pretty self-sufficient restaurant, from scratch kitchen. And what we're doing right now, we're cooking down and rendering that prosciutto, caramelizing the onions. And if you look at the bottom of the pan, you see that fond right there. And then we're going to take a little cognac to deglaze the pan, and that's where we're going to get a big flambe effect, which is always fun, especially during those winter days when you need a little extra heat when you're freezing.
Oh, it smells good already.
Yeah. Joe, didn't you have this in when you were at the restaurant last?
I had this.
Yeah.
Because I had, I usually mess around with the seafood pastas and things of that nature. But I'd never had it, tried it, loved it.
Yes.
Nice, a little kind of a thick pink sauce, if you will.
Yeah.
Really good.
Absolutely. All right, guys, get ready. We're gonna flambe here. We're gonna deglaze. We'll take it off the pan. We're getting all that good stuff that's off the bottom of the pan there. We're gonna add our house-made pomodoro sauce.
Oh, yeah.
Pardon my reach. Just a touch of cream.
There it is.
And it's almost like a painter trying to get the right color. Now, right now it's just a little orange. We're going to just add a little more pink, a little more white to make it a little more pink. That's about the color.
Cooking is an art, right?
Absolutely.
You got to get the right palette. You're there.
All right. That's about it right there.
Beautiful.
So I'm going to cut the heat, get our pasta water going back there, and then I'm add our fresh fiore noodle.
I love that pasta. It's a flower-shaped pasta.
Oh yeah, it's real fixed, a little bit of a denseness to it. And you make all your pastas, again, you make your pastas in-house, fresh pasta.
That's absolutely right.
Fabulous.
There's only one noodle that we don't make, and that is our gluten-free penne.
Right,
yeah.
which is great that you have it. Right?
Absolutely.
There's so many people who just have that issue with pasta, but love pasta.
Yes.
But that's their alternative.
We have great gluten-free options
and it's
too.
gotten better and better too,
Yes.
taste-wise.
Yes. Well, I think there's a big call out there for people who are truly celiac, and things of that nature, or people who are just watching what they eat.
Right.
So we're very keen on that from the customer perspective, and try to have all the options, vegetarian options as well.
You really do nowadays, because a lot of people have food allergies and whatnot, different things, peanut allergies, there's all these different things floating around now.
Absolutely.
So you got to be sensitive to that, no doubt about it.
So, working with a fresh noodle here, you want to be delicate. It's a fine line between not done or overdone. And so what we like to do is, keep it in the water for about a minute, and then I will actually add it to the pasta and kind of let it cook.
It doesn't take long with fresh pasta. It's
Absolutely
a totally
not.
different cooking time where with your dry pasta you buy in the store. It takes about anywhere from 15, 20 minutes, right?
It's a whole song and dance, especially when you're cooking off, 15, 20 pastas at a time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn that off. We're going to kick on our sauce here. It's always good to add just a little pasta water to pasta. It never hurts anything.
Nope.
Coat all that beautiful fiore noodle there. We're going to kick the heat up just a little more, just to reduce it a little bit.
Doesn't that look fabulous? Oh man. Cook it down a little bit.
My rehearsal dinner, we had back rooms all rented out, and I think we did all family style as an appetizer, the borghese. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like Suzanne said, it's a crowd pleaser. It goes really well.
That family style too is a traditional Italian thing. Back in your grandmother's kitchen. Our ancestors who came to this country at first, that's how they ate. I mean, it was just bowls of this and bowls of that. You just helped yourself.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plate this.
Yep.
Joe, I'll make sure not to get your nice shirt. Just a nice, beautiful bed in here.
Well, that smells great.
Suzanne, will you do the honor?
Absolutely.
Oh, she's going to make it sexy.
We'll get a little extra.
All right.
How's that?
Anything wrong with that? And there you have it, our beautiful Fiore Borghese at Charlie Gitto's on the Hill and at Hollywood Casino.
Buon appetito! Welcome back to the Supper Club. We're back from the kitchen with Suzanne Gitto, her brother Anthony. Boy, that was tremendous, I got to tell you. Fabulous.
Yes. Yep.
Now I want to ask you a question, and I'll go to you next. You've got a rare night off, no kids, and you and Kate get on a Saturday night or whatever, and you get to go out to dinner. Where do you go?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I'll tell you that my mother and father-in-law will give us gift cards. So wherever we have a gift card to is where
you're headed.
Where we'll go. But we definitely want to support local.
Absolutely.
I think any place like that's not like a chain.
Sure.
So
yeah. family owned like you guys.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's the thing about St. Louis. The restaurant community is so good about that.
Yeah.
Nobody ever, rags on anybody else, or they're all very uplifting. They help each other.
Right.
They talk. A lot of them are friends.
Yeah.
Right?
I think there's a huge sense of community, knowing that, hey, we're going through the same things, and there's a level of understanding and grace, if you will.
Yeah.
So,
baptism through fire, things like COVID.
You're right.
How did you guys talk about COVID a little bit? How did you get through that?
Plexiglass.
That's right. Like a lot of people, plexiglass and a lot of carryout, which is what they call curbside.
I mean, from my perspective of what I personally was doing, I know, I was helping bake the bread.
You're right.
Every day, little bake, because we weren't at full capacity.
Sure.
So I remember I was baking the bread in the morning, and then I would go set up the line. And I'm doing this all on my own. Suzanne was taking care of the front with our general manager at the time, Derek Andresco. And it was just whatever needed to get done with the little amount of help that you had.
You just had to figure it out under fire, right?
Yeah.
Because you guys don't do a lot of carry out before that. You could do a lot of carry out?
I wouldn't say we did a lot. I would say we did some, but definitely in house is where. So
it is a different animal, right? It was a little bit of a learning curve, I'm sure.
Right.
You probably had a skeleton crew, right?
I'll tell you that
somebody's banging out the food in the back, and you and Derek.
Way.
Yep.
And Derek was the best, by the way. Yeah, just what a great guy.
Talk about Derek.
What a great guy.
But I think that's the best way to categorize what we were doing through COVID was trial and error.
Right.
And hey, so let's try to do a pickup line. Let's try to do different set times that people could do pickup. And then we were also when we were able to start having people in, we would do this big fog, sanitary fog. I don't even know,
really?
They would have a box in each room, and then we would set off the smoke alarms because it would try to sanitize the whole restaurant. We would go to each room and let this fog go out, and we didn't know then what we know now, obviously. But but I think it was the fear of unknown, but also trying to just keep our head above water.
Yeah. And I think everybody was in that boat.
Oh yeah. I mean, it killed a lot of businesses during that time too. So when I say that we have lived the test of time, you can definitely throw COVID in that
no question.
So.
Yeah, for not just the restaurant industry, but all industries, really. So, Suzanne, same question.
Okay.
You get a rare night off. What's one of your favorite restaurants you like to go to? Where are you going to go?
To be honest, my mom and dad's house is the best restaurant.
Okay. All right.
I
understand that.
Anything from Chinese food to anything. I mean, this new.
Wait a minute. They'll make Chinese food too? Really?
They'll make Chinese
well,
food.
Again, your dad, he likes to mess. He'll mess around. He'll do anything.
He's a chef.
Huh? Fried chicken, wherever you need. Right? He's doing it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where you go. You just go to mom and dad's house.
That's the honest truth.
You know what? And a lot of people don't have mom and dads like that. Two people from the restaurant industry.
Right.
I mean, good choice. Excellent choice. I love that answer. That's great.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So anyway, what I want to ask you too, again, same question. We'll go back to Anthony. What's your favorite item on the menu at Charlie Gitto's?
Oh my gosh, that's tough. I always tell people the menu items are like my children. I can't pick a favorite. But if my feet were held to the fire and I had to pick one, I'd probably say any of the proteins, Nunzio style.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we have that's our version of the Oscar.
Yeah. Describe that.
So we have chicken, veal, and any of the steaks, a 6-8 ounce fillet, and then a strip, 14-ounce strip. But you could do this Nunzio style where it's jumbo lump crab meat,
yeah,
mozzarella cheese, and then topped with our piccata sauce on top.
Right.
So, I mean, you could put that style on anything, and I'll love it.
You're going to doctor it up with that. Now, but there's other choices. You could get other, not just
Well,
that.
and then, I also like the veal parmesan, and then I always tell customers too,
Simple.
like veal parmesan on the bone, pound thin, lightly breaded, and then a side of seafood pasta Suzanne.
Oh my gosh, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
The Suzanne, named after you. Or did you invent that one?
No, I did not.
No, your dad was playing in the kitchen. He came up with it. Well, it's a seafood pasta that is just that's my favorite.
Yeah.
But one night, going back to the Borghese, which is what we just had.
Right.
Abby the bartender.
Yeah.
She's fabulous.
Yes.
Right. Been with you guys forever. She goes, why don't you try something different? Well, what should I try? And that's what she told me to get.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Well,
so anyway,
people can be creatures of habit, and
No question.
there's nothing wrong with that. But you
question.
got somebody like Abby who's been with us for a long time, gets you outside of the box a little bit.
That's
so
right.
That's good.
Yeah, and that's part of her deal. I mean, she does a fabulous job. She
Right.
really works hard and takes care of the customer and does a great job.
I'm interested to hear what your favorite dish
Yeah,
is.
me
My
too.
favorite dish. Well, I was gonna say the seafood pasta, but
Your own?
it changes all the time.
Yeah.
Everything is my favorite. Unfortunately, I would probably say the scallops, the sea bass, like all the special.
Yeah.
That I think
Your pizza's good.
Yeah, I love the pizza. I love.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the
Is that a
homegrown
10-inch pizza?
tomato
Or?
salad. I don't know.
Yeah, they're hand stretched.
So
they're between 11, 12-inch pies.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
Hand tossed.
3-day fermentation too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I brought that up.
Yeah, there you go.
So it just changes with you. You just
Yeah, I mean, I would say like Mario, the GM, and I we'll sit down. We'll have a little homegrown tomato salad, split a pizza. I mean, the flavors all together are so delicious. Like with the vinaigrette, you can
Why
even
aren't I
dip the
invited
pizza.
to these little
And
lunches?
Anthony you need to be there too. I'll see you there soon.
Yeah,
Tomorrow.
exactly.
now he will.
Yeah.
Later today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Get a little piece of salmon. I just like everything. The tarragon butter.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, that's not.
I mean, these are recipes that we grew up with. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember when, kind of going back to COVID a little bit, when we shut down for several weeks, I was like, this is the longest that I've gone without having like our pomodoro or toast ravioli or anything that we had. And I was like, when I had that first bite of all when we opened back up, I'm like, oh my God.
Right. It's
I don't
funny.
think-
It's funny as Italians, we tend to stay away from ravioli or cannelloni or whatever. Because
we've had it so much.
much growing up as kids at grandma's house or whatever. So we always kind of go to the more something a little different.
All right.
Yeah. Not necessarily a little better, but it's just something different because the main staples, the spaghetti and meatballs, which again, once in a while, man, it's like
you got to do
this is great.
I remember during the holidays, we would be over at our grandpa Gitto's house.
Yeah.
The staples there were definitely a ham on the leg, and then it was always a big deal that my grandpa had to cut it off the bone.
Sure.
And everybody had to make sure they were not picking off it, or else he'd not be too happy with us.
Right.
But lasagna was a staple, eggplant parmesan, because I would send pictures like to my friends of our spread, when I was home from college, theirs were very, simple, and then I'm sending this big, lasagna dish, and they're like, "You guys eat lasagna for holidays?" I'm like, "You guys don't?" like,
doesn't everybody?
Yeah, I know. It's just one of
yeah.
those things that we've been grown up and accustomed to.
Yeah. Now, does your mom cook? Does she ever cook dishes from Augustine's?
I think she does every once in a while if she's feeling, a little nostalgic.
Up to it? Yeah.
But I think she kind of, yields to our dad.
Yeah. He just loves it, man. He's like, it's...
She always has some cool ideas. Like yesterday, she did a twist on our grandma's potato salad. She added a couple things in there. It was delicious.
Doctored it up a little bit.
Yeah, she had it. Her baked potato is out of this world.
Oh, really? What does she do with that?
She just makes it delicious.
It's just
the Paula
it's mom,
signature.
it's mom's baked
Paula's
potato.
way, yeah, that's right. Paula's way.
Paula's signature baked potato.
Yeah, that's right.
I like it. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna go back to you, Anthony. Who has been the biggest influence on you in the restaurant industry, coming up through it?
My dad,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
I've had some other influences as well, but I think the biggest one is definitely.
yeah. All right, Suzanne, you're up.
Okay.
Who has been your biggest influence?
My biggest influencer. There's so. Ooh. For work ethic and.
Just in the restaurant business.
That's so tough to answer
Yeah.
because I want to also say.
You want to? Well, say it.
Yeah,
It is my dad.
It's
Yeah.
your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew that was going to be the answer.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
But I wanted you guys to talk about your
Yeah.
father a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's.
And your mother a little bit. So.
He's taught me anything from my work ethic to just how things should look, how things should be, and
Right.
you know, and just yesterday giving me tips on Father's Day. I didn't think of that, you know, just certain things that would really make my life easier and more efficient. with
moving
catering.
forward, yeah, just little things, right?
Right.
It's the attention to detail, right? That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And keeping it consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's 100%, you know, to kind of echo what Suzanne is saying is the work ethic,
Yeah.
you know, because he started a restaurant from nothing. You know, he always tells a story that he went, you know, 5 years plus without a day off,
Right.
you know, the tenacity just to come in.
That's
and
what
have
it takes.
Yeah. I mean, this business is not for the weak.
Your dad worked at Angelo's. That was what it
Yeah.
was called prior to
Yep.
before he bought it
Yeah.
for years. And he worked there as a kid. He would prep back to the potato thing. He would prep potatoes, do things, but he was really young.
Yeah.
Worked, cleaned up behind the bar or whatever, just odd jobs,
Yeah,
to make
he
a
used-
few bucks.
Yeah, he used
and he
to
always
follow.
had it in his head that he either wanted to buy that place
Yeah.
or a place like it, with that
Right.
same vibe, that old school look, which is so cool and iconic.
Right.
That's the other part of it besides the food at Charlie Gitto's on the Hill, is that it's that vibe, man.
Yeah.
It just gives you that old school feel, which I'm a big fan of. I love that.
The building is over 100 years old.
Is it
And
really?
Before it was Angelo's, I guess it was a market from what our dad tells us.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I mean, he used to follow our grandpa
Right.
to work because he
Yeah.
was a maitre d' at Angelo's at the time.
Yeah,
And,
see, a lot of
do
history there, man.
I mean, there's a lot. And just to like when he was that young and to know that I want this building, like he's always had a vision. He's always had like a plan.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like just executing the plan and, just good timing. But yeah, and we still have somebody that polishes the brass just like he did.
Right.
And a brass sign out front. And there's a lot of homage to Angelo's as well.
Sure.
But, my dad has definitely put his stamp on that
Yeah.
building.
Yeah. He is an attention to detail guy, which is what you have to be.
Right.
It has to start at the top. It's got to funnel down through you guys, through all the employees. You guys got great employees, by the
Yeah.
way. They just work so well in unison with they're having. You can tell they're having fun.
Yeah.
Which is important.
Yes.
But again, that attention to detail to all their customers, their tables, and then you guys come in and sort of backfill that and
Right.
sort of back them up in anything they need. So it's just a great. It's really I'm there a lot, so I observe a lot, and it's just it's a cool thing to watch.
Well, and it's my dad has a lot of stories and use cases and things of like the restaurant is like a wheel, and
Right.
each department is its own spoke in the wheel. You've got
Right.
We wouldn't be anywhere if it wasn't for the customers. We wouldn't be anywhere if
Right.
it wasn't for the employees, and
Yeah.
you have all these different aspects of the business that all depend on each other.
Yeah.
I mean, and it starts at the top and it works all the way down to the people who are bussing the tables, washing
Yeah.
dishes, and
Yeah.
it's all there's no one department that's better or over one another. They're all equally as important.
Well, each one makes the other one better.
Right.
Makes them a little bit better. Because they, you know, if everybody's doing their job, every spoke is helping that wheel turn.
Right.
It's all gonna, more times than not, it's gonna be a smooth night.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the plan.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing the show. Thanks for
course.
coming on Supper Club.
Of course.
Suzanne,
Thank you. We appreciate
Anthony.
it. Yep.
thanks for being on. The Supper Club brought to you by Kuna Food Service, a family-owned tradition since 1918. The Pasta House Company Restaurants. Lorta's Diamonds, your family jeweler for life. Oliva on the Hill. Ackerman Toyota, St. Louis's #1 Toyota dealer in volume sales. Fenton Bar and Grill, home of the trashed wing. And Fresca Limoncello. Keep sipping, my friends. Buon appetito!